going?
It's been a crazy week.
It has been a real crazy week. Hey, Peg.
Hey, how you doing, Miss Peggy?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good. This is what number podcast is this? I think it's 7.
You would know.
Is it?
Yeah, it's our
I have no
7th
idea.
podcast. Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. Lucky number 7.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
So, what's been going on with you, Miss Peggy? This is the first time I've seen you in a while.
I know. I've been running around on a vacation with my family. We were out in Jamesport, right on the water on the Peconic Bay. It was beautiful. We were out there to scatter some of my brother's ashes because not all of my sisters could go to his memorial. He lived in Tucson. So my sister-in-law had given us some ashes, and she asked us to scatter them out here. So she
and when
came
did he
in.
pass? How long ago was it that he passed away?
February 23rd of 2021.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, so it was fun. I know it sounds weird to
No,
say it was
no,
fun, but
no,
we were
no.
all together and we all took turns taking some of the ashes, but it was really, really windy out. So like we couldn't throw the ashes in, so we had to take some in our hand, walk to the water, stick your hands under the water and swirl them around.
All right. How was that experience, like to carry your brother's ashes?
You know, it didn't bother me at all. It didn't
Yeah.
bother me at all. It was ashes, you know, with a
Right.
little gravel in it, so.
Really?
How about
You
your
know.
sisters? Cause remind everybody how many sisters you have.
I have 7 sisters, but one of them has passed already
Right.
too.
Right.
So, and not all of us were there. It was just my Long Island sisters
And
and
you-
my sister-in-law from
Right.
Tucson.
Joe's wife.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And were they okay with the holding of the ashes?
Yeah,
too?
everybody was okay with it, but it got kicked inside too from sitting around for a while. So at the end, we were like sticking our fingers
Oh
in,
my
and then we
God.
had to just, the stuff that was left over, we just had to take the jar and put it under water and get them all out. So
Did your brother have a sense of humor?
my brother had a very good sense of humor.
I don't think I met him maybe
Oh, my
once,
gosh.
but every time I would say something about my brother Carl with a sense of humor,
Uh-huh.
she was, oh my God, it's like my brother Joe. He's
Yeah,
got
he had a very good
So
sense
maybe
of humor.
this
He
was
was
his
a lot of
way
fun.
of,
Oh my God, he would
messing
have
with you.
enjoyed it. Yeah.
Well, speaking of sense of humor, like Carl sent me a picture yesterday. It was at the end of a house, and I'm like, why is he sending me this house? Then I took a closer look. His wife Kathy had red shoes that she was drying out in the sun, so he put them under the house. So, because he loves Wizard of Oz, guys.
Well,
So-
he's not
That's
the only
funny.
one.
Well, I
Yeah.
do too, but
Yeah.
he said the only thing is he was missing the socks. But
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
that's
that's
him.
funny.
That's
Yeah.
We'll have to buy him a pair of striped socks.
Exactly, definitely.
I
That's
saw
funny.
the photos though that you put. It looked like you had
Yeah.
a lovely weather.
Oh,
Beautiful.
and it
beautiful
was supposed
spot.
to be terrible weather on Monday.
Yes.
And they changed the forecast to have terrible
Nice.
weather on Tuesday.
Right.
It was torrential rain the whole day, so we didn't have much to do the next day.
Okay.
You know, we were
that's all right.
still out there. We didn't come back until Wednesday, and then my sister-in-law has been staying with me, and I just dropped her off at the airport.
So, and Peggy's a little tired today, but you
I'm
would
very
never know
tired.
that.
Late
You would
night,
never-
boozing it up.
Yeah.
Running around, I was trying to keep everybody entertained, and
It's
It's
hard. It's
fun.
hard to have guests sometimes.
Yeah.
It's good to have them. I
Yes,
love having
uh-huh.
guests, but it is exhausting.
Oh, I
you
know.
At the end of the,
I-
of the
yeah.
week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's like, yeah.
Because you want to make sure everybody's having a good time.
Yeah,
that
I
you're
know.
comfortable. And,
I know, at least
Yeah.
I got to come here and then go home. My sister-in-law is going to be on 2 planes to get home.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
yeah,
Wow.
she's going to get into Tucson at midnight our time.
Wow.
So,
Oh.
yeah. Anyway.
Well, you know, it's when this 2 days ago, the Queen of England passed away, and I don't know how you two feel about the whole monarchy. Monarchy. I just love the Queen. I just thought because we watched The Crown as we know
We do.
and her story
Good show.
and I just saw before on CNN they were showing. I actually got tears in my eyes because they were showing Harry and William and Meghan and Kate walking the line and talking to the people. And it almost was like a breath of fresh air. And not that the Queen wasn't, but they were like very forthcoming with the people. William actually took a card from a little girl, and instead of just taking it, he read it in front of the little girl, and the mother was just so touched
Yeah.
by that. But and I know that there's a lot of people making comments on social media and stuff about how it shouldn't be the way it is, in England, the Queen and all that. I just think it's so steeped in history that you can't help. What's going on in your mind?
First of all, unbelievable.
I was gonna say, you're painting her so much. She's self-eroding.
I liked the Queen. I thought that she was adorable. I really did. And I really did enjoy watching The Crown. If I were someone who lived in England, I don't think I'd want all that money being spent like supporting that monarchy, especially they have enough going on in England.
Right.
You know, and it's a burden on the people. And I don't know what the percentage of people there who love it and people who say, hey, we really don't need this anymore. It is nice to have something like that, but it's also it's a burden financially on that country. And
that's a good
King
point.
Charles, I don't like Charles. Everybody's saying now Charles in charge.
I was actually one of them.
Yeah.
What is your opinion about?
I think Peggy makes a really good point. And when I was watching the coverage on the news, I think there was a statistic thrown out there that the Queen had something like a 75% approval rating or something of her constituents. And I thought that's pretty impressive.
That is.
Right.
Especially since this is this is an establishment that is entirely funded by, the people.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not English, I'm not British, but I do like a good pomp and circumstance. Hey, I think they do it well. I think it's a nice thing, but at the same time, it you can't help but reflect what the cost for that pomp and circumstance over historical times. And my husband, I love him. He's Irish, through and through. From Ireland, so they have a different relationship.
Right.
Oh yeah,
and he
definitely.
gets very frustrated.
A lot of countries have a different relationship
absolutely. So
with it.
He's very smart, and he knows his history, and he's been able to really open my eyes to a lot of things. Not that I it just makes me think a little more cautiously about throwing my support, oh yes, of course she did a life of public service, which I think anybody who does dedicate their life to public service, no matter what it is, I give them, great admiration for that. I think for me though, the reason why I like it is because it's tied to Diana.
Yeah.
And I grew up in that Diana era where, as a little girl watching the wedding and seeing the boys.
Right.
And so it was nice to see that moment you reflected with the two boys coming together.
Yeah.
I watched their weddings, we did the whole let's stay up and watch it and have some tea, and we've done all that. It was fun with my girls. But I don't know how it,
Well, I was
be
thinking too is to me also though, it's sort of horrifying to know that when you're born in that family, you have a place then, and like where Charles he knew what he had to be when he grew up. He knew, it's the same with William. This is what your lot in life is.
And I don't know if you could be that way. Like Charles was very outspoken about certain interests, climate change being the biggest one, I think, that he's got to button it up. And I don't know if I could make that. They're saying, they've been saying like even how with climate change and his feelings about all that, how vocal is he going to be now? But we'll see. Time will tell. We'd love to hear your thoughts on it. With that said, before we move on, I do have to say, with all of this cautionary, my kids brought home a stray cat yesterday, which turns out we have a home for is fine, but we did name her Queen E.
Oh,
in honor of the Queen. So there we are.
Well, and finally, tomorrow is an anniversary, a very sad anniversary of 9/11. And I don't know if I know the answer to this. Well, I might know the answer for you. Where were you on 9/11?
I was in Boston. I lived in Boston for 10 years, and I was in my apartment. It was in the heart of Boston, in the Back Bay, and getting ready to go to class. I was in law school, and I was getting ready. I was watching Good Morning America, and I remember seeing Diane Sawyer as I'm eating my cereal, you know,
Right.
say, you know, oh wait, hold on a second. We got word that there's a plane that struck the World Trade Center. We don't know the size. We don't,
Right.
and then all of a sudden it became really.
Boom.
But
boom.
once they
Yeah.
got footage there and coverage, we got more information. That's where I was. What about you?
I know, where were you? And then I'll say where I was.
I was in Borders in Syosset. I was
So you were
the
there
manager.
already? You were already there?
Yes, I was at the store,
Okay.
and one of our friend Gina,
Yes.
an employee, came walking in, and she said, "A plane just hit the World Trade Center."
Mhm.
So I said, "What kind of idiot doesn't see the World Trade Center?" I thought it was like a
Right,
small
yeah, like a
yeah.
prop
little
plane.
plane, and then we were trying to get some information on it, and they weren't really. We didn't have a TV or anything in the
Right.
store, and then somebody came from the stockroom, and they said, "A second plane just hit the World Trade Center." And
So you knew.
yeah, and they wouldn't let us close. There were people in the store who had family that were there and
Yeah.
in the city, and I was worried about you.
Yeah.
You were in Park Avenue, and I was
Right.
calling you and saying, "Carol, please go with Joe. Walk over the Brooklyn Bridge." And she said, "No, I'm going to Penn Station." And I said, "But what if you don't get a train?" I was so worried about
Well,
you.
I was on the train going into just before I went into the tunnel, and the conductor said, "Oh, look, there's smoke coming out of the World Trade Center." And everybody kind of looked like, "Oh, that's weird." And so when we got there, I was like, well, if there are no trains going downtown, I know there's a big problem. But there were still trains going downtown, so I got on the train and went uptown because that's where I was going. Then I get in there and I go toward my office, and somebody said, "That was a big plane that went into the World Trade Center." And then there was the second one, and then Joe, he was the general manager. Well, he was the
district manager.
Yeah, and he called me, and he was able to get through. A lot of people weren't able to get through right away, but he called and he goes, "Get under your desk, Carol. Get under your desk. I hear the planes. Get under your desk." And I go, "I'm not getting under my desk. What's that going to do?" I was like, I was really being a little stubborn, and it wasn't.
How unusual.
Yeah. I don't know what you're talking about. But you're right. Then I met Joe down at the Borders, because we did have a bookstore at the World Trade Center that went down, but we didn't lose any staff or anybody.
They said a lot of people escaped from that building through the Borders store.
That's right.
Because when they left all the doors open.
Which is a border store that I bet you all three of us probably helped set up when I remember the lovely children's section in the border store when they opened up the World Trade Center. We all worked for Borders, and when that store was built, they asked people to come and help them set up, and so it was located in the basement of the building, right? And,
yes, it was. Yeah.
And
in the concourse.
In the concourse, right? And I can still see it. You know, that it was a beautiful children's room.
Yeah.
And that's what I worked on. Anyway, that was what I worked on in there.
Well, that day, I helped Joe make phone calls to make sure to account for all the staff and everything.
Yeah.
And but and then I remember taking the train home and how empty it was, and I kept, because it was one of the first trains that was able to get out. I was like, I'm getting home. Well, and I was going through my divorce then too, so it was very stressful. But I kept wondering who on this train is not going to be on this train anymore. Like some of the faces, I'm like, who is that? And then when I got home and I'm going down the block, Natasha, my youngest, she was still in high school. She saw me and she came running and she was just, clung on to me. And
it's one of those dates you'll remember.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I don't know if I ever told you this, but where my apartment was in Boston, which was in the Back Bay, it was on the same street. I lived on a street called St. Patel Street. And at the end of the block, which was just probably, feet, really from where my apartment was, is a hotel, a big luxury hotel in Weston. Mm-hmm. That's the hotel where they stayed at the night before, the terrorists.
Oh, I don't think I knew that.
I don't think I ever told you that. So they stayed at the end of my street the night before.
Yeah.
They ended up tracing them back there. That was how close it was.
I know.
That's crazy.
That it could touch you like that.
Yeah.
So once you learn that, you're like, oh God, how close that, we're all
connected.
Yeah.
Exactly. You know what it makes me think of?
Your dog is going crazy.
I know. Sorry, my dogs are going crazy. It makes me want to drink. That's what it makes me want to
Oh, is that a
Actually-
hint?
Yes, and good. We have good little toast, and I have something to toast to. So
You have
You
something
do?
to toast
I
to?
do. I'll just go ahead.
Oh, okay.
Dun dun dun. I hope it's something
Can
good.
I just check the camera? I don't know
Yes.
why. I'm very paranoid.
Yes, yes.
But I thought I set the timer and then it never went off. So
Go
I
check
might be doing all this over again.
Oh,
Let's
okay.
see.
That's all right. Okay, it's one of those days. We can be flexible.
No, it's
How's
good.
that
Oh, we're good.
Oh, yay,
Yay,
yay.
we're good.
All right. So now let's get to
Poor
the wine.
Okay, let's get to the wine.
Yes, poor
All
Peggy.
right,
She
let
has
me-
to be the camera person and.
I know.
She's
They don't
pouring
even
the
pay me.
Be
terrible.
You,
Okay,
How about I
so
treat you to dinner tonight?
no, that's not necessary.
you can treat me.
See?
Okay, so this wine is from Portugal and is called Quinta das Cavalas. Carvalhas.
Carvalhas? Okay.
Yeah, and
Alright.
it means oak farm. I looked it up, I had to translate it.
Oh, I love
So
that.
I was in Portugal in 2014 and the wine there was fantastic and it was so cheap. It was like €2 a glass,
Oh
which
my
was
goodness.
at the time like $4.
Oh my God.
And it was really good. We never had a bad, glass of wine there. So I go on this website sometimes. They send me like little emails once a week called Wine Folly, and I just learn a little bit about wine.
That's empty.
And this
that
one
bottle.
time, this is empty because I
Okay.
drank it all on the way
Because
here.
she's like flipping it around, and I'm like waiting for the wine to go out.
Wine Folly, they were talking about Touriga Nacional, and that's their grape variety. It's one of the main grape varieties in Portugal. And they were talking about what a good wine it is. It's delicious. And sometimes they make blends out of it, but it's really a single origin wine. So anyway, this was $21.49 in total wine.
Wow.
I know, I went for it this time.
Oh, I feel really special
In
tonight.
total wine.
Yeah,
And
my mother
it is rated 89. I went on this
Oh, okay.
professional
She does so
website.
much better about the wine than I do. I just drink it.
Okay.
I like the bottle.
It comes from the Douro region in Portugal. Portugal's a beautiful country, by the way. It's a full-bodied wine, and it's got blends of like fruits and stuff, like blueberry. Let's see, I think I wrote it down here. Blueberry, violet. These are the primary flavors. Plum, mint, and believe it or not, and I meant to look this up, and I didn't have time because I had to leave. Wet slate.
Oh,
That sounds
Ooh.
disgusting.
That sounds
It
like
does.
macadamized.
Oh, yes.
Oh, maybe, but that's not slate. That's gravel. Okay.
It's broken
And it's
up.
great. You pair it with a thick cut steak topped with compound butter or blue cheese.
Ooh.
So anyway, and we had to decant it. So we didn't have a real decanter, so we used this.
Okay.
It's not a vase because it has a top, but
Right.
whatever. It's over 15% alcohol by volume too.
Ooh.
So you might
Stick
get
with us.
buzzed.
Stick
I don't
with
know.
us, 'cause you could see us
Dry,
getting
full
drunk.
body, high
That could
tannins,
be really interesting.
medium high acidity. Okay.
Oh.
So Quintas das Cavalas.
Pour it.
We will pour it.
See.
Okay.
Okay. Here, Judy, hand me your glass.
Oh.
With pleasure.
Okay.
Okay.
Should we put?
Hopefully
Here,
it's
I'll put it
good.
over here.
Okay.
They tell you to drink this out of a deep glass too.
Okay. All right.
This is a deep glass.
Okay.
I hope it's good.
I know. After all of that, right?
No, really.
So you've never had this one before?
I've never had this one before.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Okay. Now
So-
what's?
Oh, and I just want to toast a birthday is all on which I know September 11th is a very mournful day, but it also happens to be people's birthdays. And, it's,
Yeah.
and this one is my sister-in-law Amy's birthday. And so sometimes it's kind of depressing to celebrate your birthday
Yeah.
on September 11th
Yeah.
too. So just being mindful of that, and
Yeah.
we're happy she's in our family. Just wanted to say
Happy birthday,
to
Amy.
Happy birthday, Amy. And Judy, I love your haircut.
Yeah. And we're going
Thank
to talk
you.
about that with our getting out of our comfort zone.
Oh, okay. Did I blow it?
Not at all. Not at all. I love that you pointed that out because I was thinking of that too. I didn't sip this yet.
Wow.
That is smooth.
Very smooth.
That's the first word that comes.
That was the one that came to my mind too. It was smooth. This is very this could go down really nice.
Remember that it's over 15% alcohol by volume.
Ooh,
It smells nice.
Yes.
I know.
Imagine if we really would have
It smells
decanted
really
it for an
nice.
hour. We didn't really do it for an hour.
We were
as you're
supposed
to.
We're so
I was
trashy.
late today.
It's okay. You were in traffic.
I was coming home from Kennedy Airport. It was a nightmare.
Just have a few sips of that, you won't care anymore. Oh wow,
Exactly.
this is really nice, Peggy.
It is good.
Oh my God, bless you.
Tell me what you really think.
I
It's very
really
good.
like this.
No, this
It's
is
very
lovely.
good. Unfortunately,
So you
I
think
can't
it's-
afford to drink this all the
But I
time.
said, this something like this
It goes
wouldn't
too
be
fast.
€2 in Portugal. They can't be.
All the wine this was in 2014. No matter what wine we had there, it was cheap.
€2 are those little coins. I'd be like, here, take them
It
all.
was very, very cheap, the wine there,
coming.
and delicious. Very
Oh,
good.
Wow.
I'm sure it's more expensive here because it's
Mm.
imported. But
Wow,
But
that is
anyway,
really
so
good.
that's highly recommended by all of us. Quintas das
3
Cavalhas.
wildflowers from us.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, definitely. That's
And
really
Yeah.
you have to get the one because there's a lot of Quintas das Cavalhas.
Mm-hmm.
That's the winery, I guess.
Right.
You have to get the Tariga Nacional.
Tariga
that's the grape.
Nacional.
Okay. What I'm going to do is
Yeah.
post a picture of it on our website. Well, we don't have a website yet. I was.
Did you get another bottle?
But you know.
I
me.
did not.
Why not? No, I don't know. Are we going to
That's
have
right.
enough time for this segment for the book to discuss the book?
What do you think?
Let me go look at the
What's it?
calendar.
All right.
We're looking at the time.
We're gonna look at it. This is,
Meanwhile, I'll just take a sip of my wine because we were bantering, but
Yeah,
that's gonna be fun
but
too.
we had a lot to talk about.
We've already used 21 minutes,
Wow,
so I guess
Wow.
not.
All right, you know what? Stay tuned because Judy is going to talk about her book, and then I am going to talk about our subject, which is getting out of our comfort zone.
Stay tuned.
Thanks for waiting. We're back.
We are back. Thank
Well,
you for
the two of us are. I don't know
Peggy,
where
get over
Peggy
here.
is. Where's Peggy? Oh, there
All
you
right.
are.
Yeah.
All right, so this week was my turn to talk about the book. I'm in the middle of a book which I haven't finished yet, so I thought
Which
I would.
is?
The Other Einstein.
Oh, I love that.
Oh,
one.
I
you
read
both
that
had
one.
read that.
Yeah.
I just haven't had a lot of time
Marie
to
Benedict,
read this
right,
past couple of weeks, so it's slow going, but it's very good. What I wanted to talk to you about is a book that I love. I read this a few years ago. I picked it up at one of my favorite independent bookstores, which was Turn of the Corkscrew years ago, and I still think about it. So I thought it would be a good book to share with everybody, and it's called Post-Traumatic Church Syndrome, and it's by Reba Riley. Okay, this is a nonfiction book,
Right.
and the subtitle of it, I'm going to put my glasses on just so I don't get it wrong, is One Woman's Desperate, Funny, and Healing Journey to Explore 30 Religions by Her 30th Birthday. So I think it's a good concept, and I think a lot of people could relate to it. It's by Simon Schuster. It came out in 2005.
Oh.
And she, I believe, I made a mistake last time when I said this, but I believe that this is her only book. But she does currently blog about spiritual health and healing for pathos.com. So she's a writer.
Okay.
And what inspired her for this book was similar in the line with Wilds, and just taking on a yearly challenge and trying to write about it. So
Right.
she was raised in a Pentecostal evangelical religion, and her mother,
Yes, to her.
her mother is poor thing, and her mother was very, religious, and it was very important to her mother, and she just loves her mother, but as she was nearing her 30th birthday, when she started, having questions, and she was which I can relate to, just got to this point where you didn't want to step into a church. She would talk about how church would give her hives, didn't want to, she didn't feel like it spoke to her, this particular religion, but that's what she was raised with. So she went out and she did plus she, at the backup, she was also battling an unknown illness at the time, which was debilitating to her. We later found out what the illness was. I won't tell you because that's part of what the book is, but where it would really be leave her long bouts of just not being able to function. So she did explore many religions. Some of them that she explored was Hinduism, Buddhism, mosques, synagogues, a gathering of witches. I think Native American sweat lodges, Amish, various Christian-based religion. I think there was even a little either, if I remember correctly, like she went like either like even voodoo or Satanism. Like just to explore.
Yeah.
She really went out there and she did her research, and she didn't just go sit there and then leave.
Yeah.
She would make it, or she had to go and she had to like really immerse herself in it and talk with the members and become part of like prayer groups or whatever and learn
were
about
they
it.
pretty much open to her?
All positive experiences, which I was very happy to hear that. And at the end of the book, and again, I'm not giving anything away, she does choose a religion to follow, but she won't say, which I respect her for. She doesn't say which one she chose.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
wow.
this experience further strengthened, or I should say strengthened her relationship spiritually that she was almost losing. So I think it was a positive thing for her.
Yeah.
And there are two symbols that to this day remind her of this journey and are important to her. One is a disco ball, and the other is a peacock. And I say that to be intriguing because these are symbols you probably wouldn't think of as religious.
Right.
Yeah.
But they're very important to her on her journey. And so I think she's hilarious too. Like I said, the writing is excellent. She's so funny.
I love funny.
So
writing.
I remember laughing out loud. And it's a really, if you are find yourself struggling, I was raised in the Catholic religion. I don't identify with Catholicism anymore. I usually have a no politics, no religion, speech when I talk to people. But it's because, this is a very touchy subject too. And she does it, you can talk it in a way, and approach it in a way that's very easy. There's just a couple of things before we move on, if we have a little time.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
I wanted to kind of point out, she focuses really to how, and we see it nowadays, how religion is often divisive.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't talk about religion.
In the name of God.
Well, that's the point. I usually don't talk about religion because it is divisive, and you usually just want to have some pleasant conversation and not really say it. But she really says, "But should it be? Is that really what was intended?" I mean, we really find people they put their ego transcending the message of the religious message. We see that now in our politics as well with the whole pro-life movement going on right now. It's what's important to me, what do I believe religiously, and I'm going to make you feel the same way.
Right.
And there's a danger to that. And as we, but she kind of touches it on here, and if I could just find it here, here it is, one, and I highlighted it, where she says, I need some light.
You notice that she dog ears her books.
I do.
Yeah.
That's scandalous.
So she's in a Hindu temple, and she's walking around with and they have statues in a circle, of all different depictions. And she's saying, so it was there in the Hindu temple, performing a Hindu ritual, that I realized it was possible to honor the God of one religion through the rituals of another.
Oh.
She says, it was also at the temple that I asked myself a question my heart seemed to already know the answer to. Could it be that all religions were like those statues in the room, different representations of a God who was too vast to be contained? Could it be that the God of my childhood, the unknown God, which is what she was raised with, was another face I could learn to celebrate? And so really focusing on, maybe all of these religions are just different ways to honor.
Sure, depending on the culture that you're in.
Absolutely. And my favorite quote from the book actually came from when she was with the gathering of witches. Now there was they were going to give her a blessing, and this is really short. But I've used it before, and I've had people comment on how much they like it. She was going to get blessed, and they were going to use a pentagram, and she kind of her Pentecostal religion kind of kicked in, like I can't, and then people kind of got a little accused her, like, what are you, Christian? And she got a panic, a bit anxious, and this one kind of hippie chick kind of witch kind of came up to her, put her hands on her forehead and said, I can give you a blessing. She goes, don't worry, we don't need to use the pentagram. And it was Everything lost is found again. Everything hurt is healed again. Despair turns to hope, sorrow to joy, want to abundance. And
Wow.
something simple, and she got so calm right after that and was able to just focus on what she was doing. Anyway, her overall message is love is bigger than everything. There's a quote in the book.
Oh, wow.
That's what it is. She healed herself. She got to the bottom of her disease.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Through this journey. She did a 40-day fast as
Oh.
part of this because, which I always think I want to try, and I may try one day. I just haven't gotten
We're
the
not gonna
courage
hang
to
out
do
with
it.
her when
There'll
she
be
does.
no podcast during this.
No, but I think
During that time.
no wine for me then. That's the problem. But it was an excellent book. Really,
Yeah.
so good, and I keep it by my bedside because I go to it a lot. I think she's just a good, talented writer. So well done, Reba Riley. I really hope to read more from you.
Post-traumatic
Church syndrome, which I thought is so
pretty
clever.
It reminds me of that guy Jacobs.
I was
who
gonna
did
say
the year of living biblically.
I was
and
thinking-
Oh, I don't know that book.
Oh,
Is
he
that
did a
similar?
couple of books.
Yeah,
he
yeah,
went and
very funny.
he did another.
Yeah,
he
he
did
did
a couple of books
the
about
first-
religion and
Yeah.
like
the
he
one
lives
that's
it.
encyclopedia, going through the encyclopedia and the words and everything, and that's when his wife was pregnant at the time.
Oh, okay.
That was
I
the first
remember
one.
the year of living biblically, and
Yeah.
that's what he did. He
Yeah.
traveled all around the world.
A.J.
Yeah,
Jacobs.
Jacobs.
Oh, and
Yeah.
I gotta check that
Yeah.
out because it's
I thought of
something.
the same thing.
Yeah.
I thought of you, Carol, when
Yeah.
when this book was coming, because I know you had something similar. But I
journey.
think a lot of people journey and they just stick with the religion. A lot of
Or
people,
they're afraid to journey.
they're afraid to
Yeah.
journey. I see this now, especially as my kids grow up. You know, how many times I could hear, "Well, I'm just gonna do the communion
Yeah.
because that's what my
Mhm.
family did. I don't
Right.
really go to church, but." And it's just like, in a way, it's
Yeah.
kind of hypocritical. I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
it's not, or it's become just about the money and the party afterwards,
Right.
and the
Right.
white dress, and I just can't participate in
No.
that.
Yeah.
And I at the same time I can't participate in a religion that doesn't treat women the same as men.
Well,
You know, I
what?
have girls,
did, like,
you know.
I really don't believe in God. But I did raise my kids, like both of them received communion. And one of them, my oldest one, Jessica, received a confirmation. And she's still mad at me. She's 41 years old because I didn't make Samantha receive confirmation because she was having some other issues at the time. And, you know, I just, I don't
whatever.
care.
Yeah.
Whatever. But the reason why I did it is because I had 2 stepchildren, and my stepdaughter Debbie, she used to spend every weekend at our house, and she was friends with all the kids on the block, and they used to go to mass, and because they were all Catholics.
Right.
And like she told me one day, she said, "I don't know anything about God. My mom never taught me anything about God." And you know, she used to go sometimes to mass with the other kids, and she felt like she was lacking in knowledge. So I said, I don't want that to happen to my kids. I don't care if they reject it.
Right.
That's fine, because I did too. My parents raised me, and
Mhm.
until I graduated from high school, I was going to mass, you know, every Sunday, and I didn't really mind going. It's just something that I did.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
I didn't want them to grow up, so that's fine. Like, you learn this, you could reject it, that's fine.
Right.
You know, but at least you learn something about it, and you have
Right.
something to compare it to. Or,
Hopefully you can compare it to something, because a lot of times if you go to just that one church, you know, like,
yeah.
you know, I was raised in a Catholic household, although my mom had been raised a Protestant. Actually, she was raised a Methodist, and she became a Catholic in name to marry my dad because she couldn't marry him otherwise.
Right.
And she never regretted marrying my dad, but I think she always regretted having to be in the Catholic Church.
She gave up her religion,
Yeah,
and she
Right.
didn't have to.
and yeah, and raising us, we were raised in the Catholic Church, and anybody that knows my journey, I'm not gonna. We don't have.
We
5
could have a
hours.
whole.
Yeah.
We could do a whole
Week
podcast
podcast.
about
Yeah,
born
right,
being
right.
born again.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. You know, and my one statement is that I tell people that I came to Jesus like in 1972, 1973, and I came to my senses a few years later. And it was a journey, but yeah. So it's a big topic.
But it's made you who you are, you know, as
Exactly.
well. And I think, you know, with that said, I said, yes, I didn't. My children aren't raised in any particular church, but they certainly know religion similar to this. I mean, we've explored lots of different, not, you know, as she's done, but I've introduced them to spirituality, to God, and they're forming their own thoughts. And so I didn't feel the need that I needed to tie myself to one church. Just to, I'd rather teach them than have somebody else teach them.
Right.
You know,
right,
and
right.
you know, and sometimes the customs are very important to people. You know, but yeah.
Well, I remember asking the priest, because when I was young and I had questions, and I asked the priest, I forget even what the question was, but he yelled at me that we never ever question God. And I said to him, I'm not questioning God, I'm asking you.
Yeah.
He didn't like that.
What?
Saying.
Well, that's the thing. There's, you know, I little things, and now also having the benefit of a husband who's, you know, Irish, Ireland, very Irish. Two of his aunts are lovely women, love them. They're nuns, but you know, they're never, you know, they know my thoughts, and they would never, you know, think differently. I think in a way it's welcome, you know, sometimes the thought like refreshing, but the what I noticed, the hypocrisy, I'm going to use that word again, that exists even within the religion, depending on where you are. I mean, I had to
all religions.
In to do. I was a godparent. I'm a godparent many times over. I basically have to sign my name in blood to be a godparent here in the United States. I mean, I have to provide baptismal records, confirmation. I got to donate a chunk of money. I got to attend classes. I've got to do everything. My husband was godparent, you know, when he was living in Boston, when he was chosen over there, and he just had to show up. On top of that, he was a godparent with his other brother. They allowed two same-sex people to be godparents in the Catholic Church in Ireland.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can't do that here. They don't let you do that in the Catholic Church. Why not? Isn't it the same church?
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
I can't. And no, what's up? Okay, Pope, what's up with not having women in positions of power? I mean, this is 2022.
I think Pope Francis would love to, but is not going to fly with everybody else.
And until then,
the church is very political
girls
too.
in that.
Let's face it, it's very political.
But also in 2 Timothy, I think it's in Timothy, in the Bible, it says that women were to keep quiet. It's biblical.
Yeah, so then it's not,
you know.
There's a lot in the Bible. There's a lot in the Bible, though, but they pick and choose.
Oh, absolutely.
They pick and choose.
Not only that, they picked and choose what should go into the book that they refer to as the Bible.
Oh, absolutely. So many
See,
books.
this is going to be a long
Okay, let's do a podcast.
Reba, what did you start? We love it. Thank you.
Absolutely. I think we should just take a tiny break because the next topic is going to take a bit of time.
I don't know about that next topic.
We're going to lose her.
I didn't even think about it.
Well, you're going to get questions, so you'll.
Oh, well, I've been on vacation, so bear with me.
All right.